What's up all you SWTOR peeps out there? Welcome to Drayden 5, your 5-minute Star Wars The Old Republic infobank. Today's video is focused on how to prepare yourself for being a tank in Star Wars The Old Republic. More specifically, how to be a Sith warrior Juggernaut tank. To keep in touch and follow the series, please subscribe and like to Drayden 5, and favorite this video for a quick reference. Alright, we'll start by looking at the role of a tank. In a general sense, the tank is a character in the game which can take a lot of damage before dying. Their skills and strengths lay in three key areas: damage reduction, which reduces incoming damage; damage avoidance, which is the chance to avoid a strike; and also by having a large amount of health, and this is usually done by stacking endurance. More specifically, characters are referred to as tanks in a group scenario, known as a Flashpoint in SWTOR. Here, each character has a specific role to play, such as DPS, healing, and tanking. This brings in the other major side of being a tank: threat management. In these scenarios, the tank has to keep the NPCs attacking him alone and not the other players in the group. This can be difficult, as damage dealers and healers also generate a large amount of threat that can cause an NPC to attack them instead of the tank. This balancing act is a large part of team play and is a real art in MMOs. Now, not every class can take on every role. Some classes are only capable of DPS, others are more flexible, and depending on which skill tree taken, they're able to take on multiple roles. The classes on the Empire side that can take on tanking roles are the Sith warrior, specifically the Juggernaut specialization, and the Bounty Hunter, specifically the Power Tech specialization. Of course, this guide will be focusing on the Sith warrior class, but a lot of the info will be transferable, and most of it will give you insight into how to get the most out of SWTOR, even if you aren't a tank. So now I'm going to talk a little about the specialization specifically for the warrior. But first, a small warning here. There are some spoilers coming up that may give away the gameplay up until the mid-teen levels. The Sith warrior is able to choose to be a damage-only class, the Marauder, or a damage and tanking class, the Juggernaut. The choice comes for you when you're at level 10, where you can choose your path through a quest giver near your warrior trainer. At this point, you cannot really consider yourself a tank. You do get a few abilities that start you off in the right direction. The first of these are the passive abilities, mainly the ability to wear heavy armor and use shield generators, and blade turning, which grants the first 2 seconds of Saber Ward 100% ranged and melee defense. You also get an active ability, Sundering Assault, which is both a threat and rage building skill. You will also now have access to your skill tree. When you visit your skill tree, you will see three choices. One is the tanking tree, known as the Immortal spec, and the others are DPS specs. Most of your talents are going to go into the Immortal tree, with a few going to the DPS specs later on when you have talent points left over. Skill tree builds customize your character, and there are many attempts at setting up the perfect build. I will go into these further as the series progresses. I would put all my talents into the Immortal tree for now, with the first tier having 2 points in both Quake and in Ranged Sunder, and 1 point in Battlecry to give you the 5 points needed to open up tier 2. I would stay clear of the damage trees for now. They can be tricky, with some of the talents requiring you to be in other fighting forms to take effect. At this point, any tanking you do will be a bit messy. Most classes are able to take on trash mobs by themselves pretty easily at this point, and will most likely race ahead of you. It's just the main boss fights that you'll find you'll be appreciated. This early in the game, your single target threat should be able to keep up with DPS, with only AoE damage being the real challenge. This shouldn't be too much of a worry though, as most classes should be able to hold their own at this point. It's good to start practicing your technique earlier on, and I suggest playing a tank from the start of the game instead of leveling as DPS and changing over later to a foreign spec. The point at which you will get the tools of the trade is level 14, when you get your defensive Sorosu form, which increases defense, threat, and which generates rage from damage received. You also get Guard, which reduces a friendly target's threat and transfers damage to you. As a bonus, all classes get Sprint, which increases your movement speed. This is invaluable for a melee class. You also have a growing list of abilities that can be used in combat. It's important to know which ones to use. The warrior uses the rage mechanic, where they build up their rage through some attacks and by taking damage in defensive form, and then use the rage to do special attacks. Basically, you want to get the most bang for your buck, the most amount of threat and damage reduction for the amount of rage spent. This requires a bit of timing and familiarity with your skills. By looking at your abilities, we can set up a basic list of those that are essential to a newborn tank. At level 14, the tank relevant skills that you have to use to manage threat and reduce damage are Force Charge, Force Scream, Smash, Sundering Assault, Assault, Retaliation, and Vicious Slash. These talents can be optimized by timing them in such a way that you can have a predictable cycle or priority queue which you can follow to give you the best results. At the moment, I would suggest starting off with Force Charge, followed by Force Scream on a single target, or Smash on multiple targets, and then use a Sundering Assault. We then fall into a priority queue where Force Scream and Sundering Assault are your highest priority, followed by Smash, and then Retaliation whenever it is available. Ravage can then be used on the target if the target is stationary, as it is a channeled ability. Vicious Slash should then be your last priority and only be used if you have spare rage. Assault is a rage building attack and should be used as a filler if you run out of rage and Sundering Assault is still on cooldown. As you can see, it's more of an art than a formula, and I think this will lead to a really interesting and fun tanking class. Other important situational abilities include Saber Ward, which can be used as a panic button to reduce damage for 12 seconds, Unleash to get you out of incapacitating effects, and Chilling Scream, which slows down enemy units. These of course will continue to develop as we progress through the game, get more and improved abilities, and get deeper into our skill tree specializations. I'll be progressing along with you, so be sure to subscribe and follow the progression to being an endgame tank. There's still a lot to cover, from gear to buffs to key bindings, so hang out for the next episode where I'll cover some of these. I'm pretty excited for what's to come out of the Sith Juggernaut class. One of the most epic things I like about it is the charge animation. The visual and sound effects are awesome and really adds to the power of the class. Be sure to check out my first video about it. Let me know in the comment section below what's your favorite animation in the game. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to Drayden 5 for more Juggernaut guides and tips to come. I will catch you later.